Welcome everyone to this episode of the Expansive CEO Podcast. I'm Hannah, and Lauren's here.
Hi, friends.
We've got a great episode for you today. We're going to talk about receiving. We're going to talk about gratitude and how we can tap into different parts of our design and also parts of our emotional expression, really, in order to learn how to receive more, learn how to be open to receive. Such an important topic when we're talking about business growth, when we're talking about prosperity, when we're talking about literally like allowing yourself to be supported
Yes.
so
And
much.
and wealth accumulation, right?
Yep. Absolutely. So we started talking about um the Pearl sphere last week in the Gene Keys. And so we're going to kind of follow along with that a little bit too. Have this, May be the month of let's talk about it. Let's talk about how do we tap into more abundance, which I love too, because it's like, hey, we're in the middle, technically in the middle of spring,
Mhm.
right? This is tending the seeds time
Yes.
for sure. And before I get too far, two things. One, I usually save this for the end of the episode, but I'm going to say it right up front because if you're here in the first minute and a half, I want you to hear this. It's so helpful if you have been listening, if you've been following along to the podcast, if you found value in it. It's so helpful to help others to discover this podcast. If you like and subscribe, whatever platform, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, if you're listening on Spotify, wherever you're at, if you subscribe and leave a review. So if you love the podcast, if you love the conversation, uh, truly, it really helps if you leave a 5-star review and leave a comment about what it is that you find fun or valuable or interesting or whatever that is. Um, super helpful. If you are watching on YouTube or if you ever go over to YouTube and watch there, since we do some visual stuff sometimes that's easier to see than here. Same there. Like, subscribe, hit there's a little bit a bell to be notified of any new episodes or special stuff that goes there. So all of that is really helpful, and I know I forget to ask for support sometimes um, in those ways, right? It's like just put it out there, and if people, like it, and they'll respond. But it's also really important for us to actually ask for what we need. And as we are talking about receiving and talking about gratitude today, I'm going to put that out there first, right up front.
Yeah. That's a good call. I wouldn't think of that. So,
Well, that's why I'm here. And then our next piece of like you can come interact with us here is Substack. We mentioned this a little bit last week as well, but we've got that up and running. Lauren and I are posting on Substack. We've got a couple of great articles there. And you can find us, like on the notes section of Substack has been really fun lately to share thoughts, to share um, what's coming up. It's a fun vibe
yeah. It's
over on
it's
Substack.
absolutely and just it's super simple. Just search expansive CEO and Hannah will come up, I'll come up, and even the publication will come up. So just it's same thing. Like, subscribe, come join the fun. It just seems to be a very dynamic platform
Mhm.
that offers a lot of opportunity, and you have the opportunity to learn from other people who are in the same space we are or completely different spaces, and that's actually really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got some really fun things cooking up there as well of how we can interact more, how we can answer some questions specifically. So watch for that. So we've got cool things happening there. We also have the Regenerative Wealth program that is just getting started with our live cohort. If that's something that you still would like to learn about and tap into, send us a note. You can jump on my calendar and talk about it. I'm happy to talk about that. Ooh, and we might dive into that a little bit too. I had a conversation with someone this past week about the Regenerative Wealth Program and who it's for and where it's most valuable, and also the pricing.
Mm,
So that can maybe not this week, maybe next week. But I had some really beautiful thoughts around that as well.
Excellent.
Especially when he asked about it. I was like, "Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's go there."
Yes.
So, receiving gratitude.
Ugh.
So good. These things are so tied together. So, speaking of Substack, this was my little note for today. I was sitting and just kind of tapping into the inspiration of what wanted to come through today, and what came to mind was gratitude is a portal. And as I sat with that, and gratitude is a portal, I'm like, okay, great, yes. What else does that mean? And
Yes, universe, tell me more.
right, like let's just channel this and see what comes through. And what was coming up for me today was a remembrance of a mentor who had asked me once, how can you receive more of what's already here? So when we talk about receiving, and for so many business owners, and humans in general, the ability to receive, the ability to receive support, the ability to receive money, the ability to receive opportunities, the ability to receive love and connection. We have so much material that gets in the way of allowing ourselves to receive. So again, I wanted to put that into more concrete terms of like, okay, what does that mean? Literally, again, right? Love, support, money, connection, business, all of that. How can you allow yourself to be paid? How can you allow yourself to be supported? How can you allow yourself to ask for help and receive that help? This is all in this realm of receiving. And what we tend to do is our wounding from childhood. Lauren, before we started recording, Lauren and I were talking about core wound in Gene Keys, which again, if you open up your chart, go grab your chart real quick, friends, push pause, grab your human design chart. It's the Mars, the unconscious Mars placement. So the red side, the left column of numbers, go down a few.
I can tell you how many. You keep going. I'll tell you how many.
Tell me how many to the unconscious Mars placement. How many down is that?
I can't count today. It's 8. 8
8
down.
down. Those from the very top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's your unconscious Mars placement. That is your core wound.
And it's the male symbol, right? The circle with the arrow that goes to
Yes.
the right.
Yes. Yeah, the symbol for male. In our culture at least. And um, our core wound also really affects how we allow ourselves to receive or not. And so receiving more of what's already here is this practice of tying back in gratitude. It's this practice of noticing where you do have support, noticing where abundance does exist already. Right? So what are those places? Noticing, becoming aware, because when we tap into the gratitude of, oh, okay, yes, like I do have connection. Maybe it's with your kids, maybe it's with your spouse, maybe it's with a supportive friend, right? Like, okay, I do have that here. It's not eluding me. Or, oh yeah, I have been able to pay my bills forever. I've always been able to pay my bills. That has always been true. I have always had enough. I've always had what I need so that, I'm good. Doesn't mean you can't desire more. No, that's absolutely not the point. The point is, how do you open yourself to receive more? One step is, how do you let in, accept, accept more of what you already have. And then the other aspect of that, think about doing this, why are these tied together? It opens your eyes to the opportunity, right? If we're always in lack, if we're always in not enough, we're going to see where there's not enough. We're going to see where there's lack. We're always going to be drawn to the not enoughness because that's what we're focusing on. But when we focus on where we do have enough, where we do have something, where we have experienced the thing, the desire, the um the receiving of that thing, it gives us the opportunity to look for that, right? To focus on that and allow that piece to expand instead. So that's the place where gratitude is a portal. Gratitude is the portal. Think about what is a portal. A portal, it open, right? It's something that opens up to send you into another place.
Or even to receive from another place.
To receive for, yes, exactly.
I
Where
think,
you weren't necessarily expecting it before.
right. Yeah, there's so much that comes up for me in this topic because as we discussed last week, as part of my gene keys being a second line, I'm here to receive. That's a lesson I'm here to learn, which is really hard for someone if you're taking all the energy mechanics into it. So looking at it from the lens of gene keys of, the lesson is to receive, which is really ironic, or the gods played a real fun role or real fun game when they made me. The universal gods is okay. Well, you have a completely open ego. So the conditioning that you always believe is that there's never enough. I'm not enough. Always have to give in order to receive. And receiving for me has always been an earning. It has never felt like it is something that just exists as a part of being a human. And as we talked about before we even got on, is like it has always felt that every time I receive something, I have to give back tenfold. It's this pressure inside of me of like, well, you were given something in order to, and again, I see it now and I feel it now, but before it was like, well, you have to prove that you're a good person. You have to prove that you're as giving or as equal or as generous or as insert whatever fucking story I've told myself in that space. It's a lot of fucking pressure. And this idea, particularly as a business owner, right, that has always been the thing for me is that, or, just even now, it's like, someone pays me for something. Oh, well, God, I have to like give the highest level of anything and prove that because you paid me for this, that I can meet all of the, I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. Like I didn't notice it before until I learned all of the energy mechanics. But now it's like, oh, Lauren, whew, I can feel when it's performative and I can feel the pressure of, well, you've got to overgive in order to prove you were worthy enough to receive that payment to begin with. And what's also really interesting is listener, before we got on, we talked about the core wounds. My core wound is also a second line. Like how many fucking second line? Well, actually,
So
second
many,
line.
so many
They're the
key
most
lines.
abundant in my chart. Is what was it, Hannah? Denial.
Denial.
And that the idea of when the and it's interesting, I had new felt this before because I've always been someone who's like, yeah, I take accountability for the shit that happens in my life and the things that I do. And, I tend to be more uh, uh, repressive, right? This is something that I've got to fix. But in listening to what the second line is, it's like you're taking it all on of humanity and you get to a point where it's like, I can't hold this anymore. So it's reactive and I push it out to the world and it becomes somebody else's fault. And it's one of those things where you're starting to take all of this awareness together is that when I feel as if no one is giving anything, I lash out. It becomes, are you fucking kidding me? I have been giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, and I just have this one fucking moment where I need something and no one is there. And it, it is also a lesson for me to learn of how to express this in a way that people can hear it and see that it's more about pain of not knowing how to ask for what I want or need. And then I just take it all in. And then my Aries power, my channel of power and my Aries energy just comes flying out of me. And everyone's like, okay, well, I don't really know how to help you learn because this is a little intense.
That's a
And
lot.
then, and then I get even more angry because it's like, are you kidding me? And again, that's when kind of the repressive nature comes back in. It's like we talked about this a lot of like the more that you learn about yourself, the more work and responsibility you have of like, okay, well, that's on me now to rewrite if I want to rewrite it. But this is the level of gratitude that I have is the awareness of these mechanics. It's like, okay, it's not terrible for me to be able to ask for what I want or need before I get to the point where I've given so much and it feels like no one is fucking around that I lash out into the world.
Yeah, and I think what you just shared, so also listener, side note that's important, Lauren is also an Aries sun and moon in the 12th house, if you're familiar with astrology. So
Lots of Aries, lots of it.
not just the Aries sun, but the Aries moon. I also have an Aries moon. So that emotional reactivity is definitely like
An open solar plexus. Thanks so much, universe. I appreciate it.
right innate. And so we'll touch on this for a minute here because in case anyone else is listening to that and feels resonance with that, is that second line core wound again, so that Mars, unconscious Mars placement. You look at the first number and then the dot and then the second number. So that second number for Lauren is a 2. And the way to move through that feeling of, everything that is wrong is now everyone else's fault. You described that so well. It's like the pain of carrying that. The pain is too great to hold inside of yourself, and so it has to lash out. It's like this is too much for me to absorb. I have to put it on someone else. And so that the way to heal that is to allow yourself again, as counterintuitive as this seems, this is part of receiving too. Is that when you can open up your channel of that emotion, being able to hold that emotional expression, not suppress that emotional expression by any means, absolutely not, but to be able to know that you're going to be safe, that this hurts right now, but it's not unsafe for you to feel it. That the way that Richard Rudd puts this in this one, the love sequence of the Gene Keys path. Uh the challenge is to let go of the conflict and draw the arrows of blame back inside. So when the impetus to blame, the impetus to lash out, you said it so perfectly there. It's like, how can I say it in a way that someone else will be able to receive it? That's the drawing the arrows back in. You've got your arrow, you're like, you're ready, right? You're ready to just like let her rip. You're like, I'm gonna shoot you right in the fucking face. Uh
100%. Then the heart, then the groin.
right.
That's what it feels like sometimes.
Okay. What if we let's put the arrow. Okay, put it back. Put back
Katniss, put it back in your quill.
draw the arrows of blame back inside yourself. and and you never need to behave as though you are a victim of your wound. It's vital to remember that the deep pain you may feel is not a personal pain, but the pain and denial of humanity. That is the core wound, especially the second line core wound, and all core wounds, is to remember that that pain that you're feeling, it feels overwhelming until when you think of it as a personal pain. And when we open up to the fact that no, your core wound is actually like when you help heal that core wound, you're actually helping heal that for the entire collective. And don't hear me say this as it's your job to transmute all the pain of humanity. That isn't that is not what I am suggesting in any way, shape, or form. What I am saying is that your personal experience, you as the individual that you are, the beautiful, um, the piece of the universe of your individual expression, you you are able to handle the pain. You are able to handle what's given to you if you allow yourself to see that, to open up to like, I am capable of feeling this, letting it move through and out. And that's actually the transmutation. What's coming
Okay.
up for you? Yeah.
So many things. Um, the idea, and also a caution of to bring the arrows of blame back in. It's not that you're taking on the blame. It's that you're not pointing them at someone else. You're not pointing them at yourself, but you're not pointing it at someone else. Just to recognize that the pain you're experiencing is collective. It is part of all of humanity. And it's always interesting that it's is the idea of the collective. That is part of my contribution. My personality sun is a collective gate, in that, my contribution is more about the right angle cross of service. And it's about pinpointing the dissatisfaction of the things that keep us all from living lives full of vitality and fulfillment. And the way that I interpret that as the core wound is like my individual contribution is to show the dissatisfaction of when the systems aren't working. And if you're thinking about it from a broader point of view, the collective pain that isn't working anymore, but that's all transmuted through my specific frequency. Hannah and I were talking before we got on. My older son also has a two core wound, a second line core wound, and so we kind of share that. And we were laughing because, like, when we get angry at one another, I can feel the blame, just like we're just shooting it at each other, and it's like the literal fuck. What am I supposed to do to get out of this? But now having that recognition as his mother to be like, okay, this part of it is the energy mechanics of that one doesn't necessarily understand. It's 15 and a half years old. But how can I hold that space for him while also holding the space for myself, and recognizing, that okay, well, we're all just kind of trying to get through this collective pain together. And just recognizing that there is so, like, while this seems really heavy sometimes to really take on, how much fucking freedom there is in learning these things. Because to recognize, like, what I always come back to is like giving grace for myself of like, sometimes it just feels like I just don't know how to get to my shit together. And it's not that I don't know how. It's more that I'm still learning all of these mechanics, and that we are all really complex human beings. And the energy we carry is really complex, and the energy we think we're looking for is really complex. And so how do we give ourselves grace as we go through these transmutation, our individual transmutations, and recognize that, oh, for the love of God, not love doesn't have to be earned. Abundance doesn't have to be earned. In a way of like, yes, you need to put in work, and you need to utilize yourself to recognize that, you're willing to make the contribution you're here to make in this world. But it's not about like, oh, I get paid something. I then have to overgive in order to recognize this mental bargain I've created for myself that if someone gives me something, well, then I have to go above and beyond. 'Cause that's a lot of my conditioning. My conditioning is that love is very conditional. It has to be earned. Money has a huge tie to it of like, someone gives me money. Oh, okay. Well, I got to put it in my bank or I got to write it down that I owe them, $5. Whereas I'm the person who's like, if I pay for something for someone, I'm just like, okay, yeah, cool. And someone's like, oh, I need to Venmo you the $10. I don't really fucking care. It's $10. Like, it's perfectly fine. What I have to figure out is why is it that it's I was gonna say okay. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Why is it okay that I overgive, but I can never fully receive?
Oh, yeah. It feels bad to over receive,
Yes.
as if there's such a thing.
Yes. And it's always like, well, that's I think where I'm still working through my completely open ego conditioning. It's like it's this constant and there are times when I feel like I've gotten over a hump. And then it's in these kinds of situations, it's like, "Oh, no, it's still there." And it will always be there. And that's what I always come back to of like, it's not like I'm gonna completely snuff it out of my energy, right? That energy center is open, will always be open, will always be fully open. In the wisdom for me is to recognize that I don't have to over earn in order to receive. Whatever it is, abundance, love, connection, relationships, because good God, see me in my early 20s in a relationship. Oh, for the love of God. I didn't know how to stop overgiving because it was like, well, I got to give and give and give and give and give because that's how you like me. I'm like, oh. Then I've gotten to the point in my 40s where like, okay, not happening.
Right. Right. Well, what you just tapped into there, brings me back to, especially, uh, in business that as we talk about, building a business that is in alignment, the whole purpose, right, of, Expansive CEO and the regenerative wealth program, all of that, like building a business that's actually in alignment with you. One of the blocks, and when we go through, it's interesting when we go through like the money story meditations and different things like that. So a lot of times what comes up for people, one of the money stories is if I have if I'm more successful, that means I'm going to have to work harder. If I get more clients, if I raise my prices, if I if I succeed money wise, it's going to be too much work. I'm going to have to give too much and I can't sustain that. And you touched exactly on that wound of, hey, I'm not letting myself, again, back to the original prompt, I'm not even letting myself actually receive what's already here because I'm trying to overprove and overgive. Even with what's already here, even if it's not really paying the bills. I'm already overgiving. How can I possibly take on more? How can I possibly allow more financial abundance in because the time and the energy spent is already out of whack?
Mhm.
And that comes back to, again, allowing your own, when we look at the energy mechanics, allowing you to really actually ground into what is the value that you bring, what is the experience that your client is having or your customer, what are they receiving? And we're going to look at that from a few different lenses. One of them being, yes, we actually do need to look at, do you have, like the ratio of time to money?
Mhm.
there's a logical aspect of that. Can you serve that many clients? Can you serve the amount of clients it would take to support you and your family at the price point you're currently at, right? That's literally math. We can do the math. But then when we do the math and we show, okay, well, this is, let's actually, what you're giving, what the client is receiving, what if you charged this much instead of, right? Maybe it is a doubled price point. Maybe it's 50% more than what you were charging. The money story that comes up with that is exactly what you're saying. I would have to prove myself so much harder in order for that to be true. So then that's the money story that we work on. Um, and before we started recording, I really loved the conversation we were having around, you know, what your purpose as a generator and for any generator type, right, is to literally live in the turn on of the sacral. Your sacral authority, or if your emotional authority as well, it doesn't matter in this context. As a generator, we are the only ones that have that sacral definition. We are here to express the aliveness of our sacral. And so in this instance, so for you, Lauren, and I can map back again, we've worked together for a really long time. So as you were talking before, I was like mapping this back to all of the offers that we've looked at together and tried and the different ways that this has shown up over the years. But if you can ground into, okay, this is my pricing right now. So like right now, for example, on the website, if you go to get a reading, it's $495. You get a 1 hour reading that's very, very thoughtful, very supportive, very accurate and amazing. And then you also get a half-hour follow-up call a week or two later to help you actually, again, ground into the information and use it in your life. But it's $495, which is more than some other people might charge. It's less than others, right? It's not the highest,
No.
but it's certainly not the lowest either. It's at a healthy amount that is supportive. And so what happens if when you give that reading and you receive feedback from the person that, "Oh my gosh, I got so much from this. Thank you so much," rather than skipping past that, as is for, again, listener for Lauren, she likes to be like, "Okay, cool. Don't, it's fine."
It's cool. We're good.
Okay.
It's
No,
fine.
no, no. Just don't worry about it. It's great.
Fine.
You're welcome. Bye.
Yeah.
Instead of bypassing, because you're literally bypassing the lesson. You're bypassing, again, your second line pearl sphere says you are here to learn how to receive recognition. And what does it do? When you do receive recognition, I would love for you to explain to people what that, like, what that feels like, what it propels you to want to do.
Okay. So I'll give it what it used to do. So in receiving recognition, it was that. It was the, okay, cool, great, excellent, it's fine, cool. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something else. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. And it was almost as if now that I look back on it, I didn't know it at the time, but it was this like, no, no, no. It was almost like an energetic block to receiving in a very like just skirting it. And now it, let me like talk through it because I have 147 different things going through my mind at one time. Now the discomfort is less. It's not completely gone, but I intentionally, if someone provides, a thank you, a recognition, a compliment of some sort, I just sit there and I say, thank you so much. I very much appreciate what you said to me, or like, I may not have said like what you said to me, but I take a moment to literally breathe it in and say, thank you. And I actually take a moment after I've said thank you to let it settle in. And it's still a little uncomfortable. But what I now recognize about my own design, it is essential that I receive it, because as you so beautifully pointed out, is that it is the loop between my sacral, my spleen, and my root, is that I have the channel of transformation. It's the bargain of me giving my hard work, me giving my ambition, me giving my drive to the tribe in exchange for recognition of those efforts. And I recognize that when I am not recognized, oh, I'm bitter as hell for, my efforts. And again, I think that's where it kind of comes back to this, like, I know I innately, I'm going to say, need it energetically. It's a necessity, but it's still wildly uncomfortable because I never received it. I shouldn't say, that's not fair. I don't actively remember receiving it regularly growing up. And part of that is being an athlete, right? It's like you did the one thing. Okay, well, work isn't over. Let's move on to the next. It's just different in other sports, right? Think about football. A play is over. Okay, on to the next one. It's kind of the same thing with swimming. It's like an event is over. Okay, if it went really badly, fuck it, move on. If it went really well, okay, cool. Have your moment in the sun. You got another one to go. And I don't know if that's where part of the condition, I would say that's probably a source of conditioning, is that it is really hard for me to receive. And it has been really, really hard because it was never ingrained in me growing up. But I get very bitter when I am not recognized. And what's really, really interesting is that when you and I were talking before we got on about love languages, I always used to think that was a bunch of bullshit because it makes me uncomfortable, or it made me uncomfortable. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't want to know what it is. But I think mine are words of affirmation and acts of service.
Mhm.
All the shit I give to everybody else, I just want to come back to me. And I'm now learning at 44 fucking years old how to do that. It's not easy. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and that beautiful loop that you were, describing is when you receive that recognition, it propels you. It literally fires the sacral back up to keep doing that work.
Yes.
And so the shift that I was proposing here was that it's not to overgive in that one scenario, right? To be like, "Oh, that you like, yes, that felt good. I'm gonna give more and pour more and pour more and pour more into the same person." It's to allow that to be open for
Yes.
what's next, open for the next person, open for the next opportunity. Because when we think, "Oh, here's what it feels like." If we think that it's like a closed loop of like, I have to keep pouring back into this one person over and over and over and over again, right? Rather than a tribal loop, that's a misuse of the energy.
Well, yeah, because it is a tribal, um, help me here, tribal channel.
Channel.
Yeah. And to be fair, energetically, mine is not a closed loop. It's an open loop. And it just keeps going like this or like this.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I that while not everyone will have that exact same circuitry, clearly, right? Like, you have just as much chance of being a 3 line or a 5 line or anything on any of these, right? Any 1 through 6, uh, but the lesson still applies. That lesson applies of if we were to, dive into your human design chart and your gene keys, we're gonna find where that lives for you. It's not gonna live in the exact same place, but it's gonna be somewhere, right? It's gonna express somewhere through your own chart where it is that you are feeling that you're overgiving and you are not allowing yourself to receive, or where you feel like you have to keep proving over and over and over again to be good enough, to be worthy, to receive that money, to receive that love, to receive that connection, to receive that help, support, whatever it is. We all have money stories that tie back in, right? And worthiness stories and security stories, right? They all, right? They all touch on how do I support myself? How do I support my family? How do I build a business that earns enough money and doesn't make me feel like I'm gonna burn out in flames of glory, just spectacular flaming out. Um, and truly, like, you could even be if you're not a business owner and you're listening to this because you love the human design and the Gene Keys angle, this is in career. This is in your career as well, right? Lauren and I have both been there in different industries, but in that place of like, this environment is going to literally kill me if I don't get out of it.
Mhm. Or I don't know how to, or I don't learn to operate effectively in it. Because, we talk about that a lot is that as a business owner or business owners, I'm just going to say it, we have a little bit more freedom to control the environment or shift the environment or whatever. In recognizing that in a corporate world, a W-2 world, you don't have the opportunity to control the environment. And so rather than take on victim mentality of I can't live in this environment. Now to be fair, there actually may be something about the environment that energetically is really incorrect for you. So even if you learned how to more effectively manage your own energy mechanics within the environment, it could still really be the wrong environment. And I'm not looking back on my journey, I see that as one of my challenges is I was trying to shift and morph and do everything I possibly could to be a part of this environment when truly, honestly, at the end of the fucking day, nothing about that environment was ever going to work for me. So it's about recognizing, hey, as you learn your energy mechanics, does this environment really work for you? Or is there an opportunity to manage yourself and your energy differently within the environment to see if it works? It's all about that experimentation. But, recognizing there really are very specific things about your environment that play a significant influence on your energy. So for anybody out there, a listener, if you have an open G center, an undefined G center, the diamond in the very middle of your chart, if that is not colored in, environment plays a very significant role in your life. And there could be elements of that environment that are just not conducive to your energy. And in knowing that, you have the opportunity to make different choices versus then, for me, I think there was guilt of like, well, I just couldn't make it work. It was all my fault. No, it wasn't my fault. Now, did I play a role in it? Oh, absolutely. But did the environment play a role? Like, and when I say environment, I mean literal physical location can have a very significant influence on your energy. That literal building and where I was working was so against what is beneficial for me when it comes to an actual environment. There was no fucking way I was ever going to be able to operate effectively within it. And that actually plays even more so as the older you get. You can, in the world of mechanics, it's around 30, 35, maybe somewhere in kind of the 30 to 40, maybe 35 to 40 range. So as you get older, true physical environment actually plays a very significant role.
Yeah.
And tying to this can influence your level of receiving. Because if that environment truly is not correct for you, the people won't be correct for you. The decisions you make will not be correct for you. I mean, it's very real.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, and it's so interesting that you bring in the G center there because I am defined on my G center, and one of the big things that I recognize I didn't even know about human design or know my human design when I was feeling this. So this was back in 2019. especially because in 2020, pretty early in 2020, we all went home, right? We all locked down and well, everyone except for our healthcare workers. I'm so sorry. That's
That's
you,
yeah.
right? I was still an essential employee, but we all had to work from home because we could. And so this was really 2019, I would say, when it started really hitting me. I started recognizing when I was what it felt at the time, the way I can describe it is that it felt like I was putting on a mask every day to cover up parts of me in order to fit in. And where was I being someone that I'm not? So my defined G center means I do have an innate sense of who I am, and innate sense of my direction, an innate sense of how I love myself, how to love and accept myself and have my own unique direction. Super important for me. And so thinking back, so that would have been like around 35 actually, 35, 36. Um where, I started to really feel the effects of am in this room, I'm gonna cover up this part, and in this room, I'm gonna cover up this part, and, like, what part of me is acceptable to be here? What persona do I have to put on in order to be accepted by the tribe that's here? And it became one of those things that was like, I recognized finally in this was like mid 2020 when the full realization hit was I cannot be myself here. I cannot be my actual true self and be successful in this place. And that became again when I started to recognize that um my I've told this story before in more detail so I won't go fully into it, but one of the things that, when I was told, "Hey, like you're not going to be successful here the way we thought you would." One that hurt a lot, like, absolute gut punch, but I was, like, completely stoic
Yeah, I
at
was
that
gonna
moment,
say.
right? Like,
Okay.
"Alright, I guess we're just saying stuff like that now." And my right? My inner literally, like, my higher self that I, like, heard in my ears as if someone was saying it out loud in the room was, "You do not know who I am. You don't know who I am, but what you just said is not me." And what I can, like, tie that into now is, like, that was my self center, my G center saying, "That's you're not describing me accurately. You don't know who I am, what my direction is. You don't get to decide what that is for me. I get to decide." Right? And that bolstered me. It gave me the it gave me the, resources, like the inner resources, the inner resilience to then go through the transition I knew I had to make over the next 7 or 8 months. And it was the hardest thing I had ever done up to that point, was leaving this place that I had been for almost 14 years, where I thought, like, was my professional home, where I thought I would be for a really long time, where I thought I was supported, where I thought I was accepted, right? To have all of that come crashing down and to, like, reinvent myself. I mean, once I learned so then it was the next year, it was in 2021, I made that decision. My higher self was like she was, like, shoving like, "Go, do it." Like, "Okay, I got this." I discovered human design that next year in March of 2021,
Mhm.
and as it was just describing me over, I was like, "Oh my god." Oh my god, that's why. If I am pushed in to be in a place where I can't show up fully as me, or I feel in some ways that, like, all of me isn't acceptable, then that's not the right place for me.
Yeah.
And I have literally like that is not how I receive. And when I start putting the mask back on, I had this experience recently in a group that I'd been in for a while. I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm putting a mask on in different areas. I'm not hiding intentionally, but I noticed myself hiding different pieces of who I am that literally blocked my ability to receive. It literally blocked the prosperity that is like just waiting for me because I was trying to force the connection in this one area where the doors are closed.
Yeah. It's really interesting as you're talking is that your loop, your sacral, right, is between your G, your throat, and back to your sacral. So your availability, your innate magnetism is about, in part, being able to express yourself as yourself, your individuality, It's so like I love now that I have such a different view of everybody's charts now, but it's like your loop of self is separate from your tribal circuitry. It's like, no. I have to be able to be myself in my individuality must be accepted, ACC, right? Within the context of the tribe. That's the bargain. The bargain is I show you what, I can I have the willful manipulation to show you what you need. And that's going to be expressed through my individualism.
Mhm.
And the bargain is I give you what I think you need, be based on what I've observed. You let me, one, work how I want to work in my own way, and pay me for that work as myself. And, for all individuals, right? The majority of us have individual circuitry in our chart somewhere. Like it's the most abundant in a body graph. So, and we don't have the time to like, hey, listener, go look at this part because it's all over the place. But the thing about individuals who have individual circuitry, and Hannah has a significant amount, is this fear of rejection. And I'm not saying that that's just part of the energy mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
Is
I I can attest.
you're here to be these mutative examples, and the way that I look at it is life has chosen you in this very specific way to be this mutative example, and all the individual circuitry that you have, never knowing when the mutation is going to present itself, but to have the opportunity to be yourself in order to bring the mutation and the only way that you can do it. And so in those instances where you've got to put on the mask because your energy is like, oh no, Hannah, you might be rejected if you're that part of yourself. In learning to accept within yourself. And again, the fucking irony of all of our charts, right, is that, Hannah is here to be self-love, is to be the role model of what it means to be self-love. And if she is putting herself in environments where she has to put on a mask or at least, look like Phantom of the Opera every fucking time she walks in, that's not going to be correct for her. And what's interesting is that she's very conscious to some parts of herself, and she's very, fucking other parts of herself just come shooting out of her. And she's like, well, I don't even know where that came from. And that's the greatest part, because that's how you get to be a role model, is that you learn to accept both what you can see about yourself, what you can't see about yourself, and to be the example of self-love for the rest of us. Because if you're putting on masks, well, then I'm just going to say this tongue in cheek, the rest of us have no fucking, what's the word I'm looking for?
Chance?
Chance of learning how to love ourselves if you're in a position where your conditioning is convincing you that you can't show up, because that's how you receive. That's what your availability, your magnetism is connected to, is to being exactly who the fuck you are, exploring your own individuality and staying committed to your higher principles so that you can express exactly what it means to be you and be the, a role model of what it means to follow your own mutative direction. Holy shit. Okay. Just keynoted that whole fucking thing together.
Right. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. I mean, that is, we talked to Forlorn before, like that recognition lights up her
Yes.
sacral and
Yes.
says, I've got all the energy to keep going. for my chart, that is so, so true, is when I can show up fully as myself, when I can just be fully present with someone and allow myself to respond in that moment to what's the mutative direction right now, again, lights me up.
Yeah.
I can have client meeting after client meeting after client meeting of that, and just, like, I'll be happily exhausted at the end of the day. Like, "All right, now I need to hermit. Now my hermit needs to hermit so much." Um, but I will be just revved up to do it again the next day. That's what lights up that sacral center, that life force energy to keep putting that out into the world.
Yes.
And so that, again, being able to I mean, I just really love that example of, like, yeah, if you're covering up your expression in any way, you're literally putting, like, a block or a boulder, "Hey, here's my bucket of what I can receive," and you're putting rocks in your vessel so you can't get as much water in.
Right.
It's literally being blocked.
Yeah, it's like putting a clamp. The way that I look at it is like you're putting a clamp on all the gates that come out of your sacral.
Yep, that's a good way to
You
feel.
you
Yeah,
know, you're cutting it off, and you have so many of them. It's like, okay, well,
I
here
do.
we go. Like for me, it's like you just the one clamp on the 34, right? And again, it's like now that we're having this conversation of like, when you really as a generator really start to see the connection to, what comes in or out of your sacral, that's where your satisfaction really stems from, is that I have the ability to, respond, quite honestly, in my own self-interest, to be recognized not only for my own hard work, but for the things that I can pinpoint that aren't working, right? If I'm in a position where I can openly express my opinions about what is and isn't working and be able to give my effort to support not only lifting myself but the tribe, you won't see me stop. But if at the very beginning I do it from a place of proving, or I do it from a place of overgiving more from the other person's point of view than my own, then you might as well just clamp that 34 and nothing's going to happen. Or you're going to get work, but it's not going to be good.
Mhm.
And kind of the same for you. If I can't be me, well then, yeah, you can have my energy, but this ain't going to be pretty.
Well, it's tying it back to coming back to gratitude, and gratitude is portal. Um, Also, I think I put this on LinkedIn yesterday too, but, or last week when this comes out. Um, but I started from Substack, of just tapping into the like, I had a client meeting, the other day. It was a client that I absolutely love, and when I really, like, zoomed out, I recognized that this is who I have been calling in and asking for years. Like, I could go back to a journal from, like, 4 years ago, and she just, like, check, 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 every box of, like, loves the transformative nature of our work together, loves being able to, like, see herself more clearly over and over again, loves the ability to, sometimes, and in this particular meeting, we went through the whole map of emotional money story that was coming up. Tap into her human design, what's coming up there. Tap into her business pipeline, what's coming up. We need to look at pricing on a few things. Then tap into her um, investment accounts and what she needs from that. Like, we literally got to run through the whole spectrum. I'm like, this is what I love. It's not one thing. It's not, let's just look at what money you need and how we're going to position that. Is that important? 100%. Yes, it's very important. But if I had to do that, only that all day, every day, I'd be like, "Ugh, this is dumb. I hate it." This is not it. This is not the thing, right? And so to, again, come back into gratitude of, sometimes the client acquisition is flowing super easily and it feels effortless. And then sometimes, like I notice where I've been covering up in different ways, not allowing myself to be fully seen and expressed for what all of me, and coming back, having that experience, having just that one client meeting, again, one of many. She's not the only one. It's just that that was the one that day of like, holy shit, I have exactly what I asked for. I have literally amazing clients who are beautiful, amazing business owners who are doing good things in the world, who care about the impact they make, who have money that we are working with and like working to actively embody the highest expression of. And we're doing it from an emotional lens and a human design lens and an inner child healing lens and a logical, like, here's how you do the money piece lens. And that is what, like, again, what fires me up. That's it. And the other aspect that I wrote about was that was never modeled for me. I have not seen any other. I had not seen any other financial advisor doing that. And I still don't know anyone else who does everything in that way. There are
Right.
some people that are starting to tie in human design that's getting, I don't think I'm the only one anymore.
Yeah.
It is here and there. There are certainly other financial advisors that work with business owners, right? That help with the business coaching side. They'll help coach your business and help you with the money side. That has been a thing for a while, but I didn't have that modeled to me. That was my own unique expression of here are all the things that light me up. Here's how I love to help people, and here, like, put it out there. Who wants this? And so that, I mean, it brought me back to, on my chart, I have the channel of inspiration, which is from gate 1 to gate 8, from the throat to the self center. It's right in the middle of the top there, and it's fully unconscious for me of like, hey, you are here to be your unique expression of yourself, and that is an example for everyone else.
Yeah. And to actually have the voice to also demonstrates not only self-expression, but the contributions of other people as well.
Mm. Mhm.
So it's this very unique combination of, it is about your true self-expression, but the gate 8 is also a gate, to be able to voice and give credence or attention to the contributions of other people, which you do.
All the time. Yes. And that, I mean, that's literally part of my platform is like, if you allow yourself to elevate, if you allow yourself to be successful, if you allow yourself to this whole conversation, allow yourself to truly receive and allow yourself to build that wealth, build that security, build that space of like here, like I know all of my clients want to make a difference in the world. And so if I can help you have more stability and express fully you, like that lifts the collective as well. It's good. It's a win. It's a win-win-win. Win for you, win
Win.
for me, win for everyone, win for your clients.
Yeah. It's a win-win, win-win, win-win-win.
Yes.
Yeah. You- Do I open this door? Let's just open the door. I mean, who cares? As you're sitting there talking about gratitude, and I'm sitting here thinking, yes, I have an opportunity to, you know, be demonstrate more gratefulness or gratitude for what's already here. Where I tend to go in my gratitude is for the hardships.
Mm.
And I'm sitting here thinking, like, where the hell does that come from? Is it more conditioning? Is it more energy mechanics? Is it a combination of both? What surfaces for me is my 3 line, right? The mistakes, the figuring it out on my own. And part of it, I wonder too, is more of my profile, right? This very the most introspective profile that exists. Um, and having gratitude of like, yeah, I fucking figured that out on my own. That one was a doozy. And here I am. I'm still standing. I'm still smiling. I'm still laughing. I'm still making my opinionated cracks at the world, right? And it's just interesting. And it's something that I don't know that I've ever consciously thought about, but that tends to be my lens of gratitude is where if someone asks me what I'm grateful for, it's I'm grateful for what I've survived.
Yeah. That's the lesson, right? Grateful for the lesson of I literally called this out today when I was writing about it. It's like, yes, we can be grateful for like what we do have right now, what we like the money you have, the clients you have, the car that you drive, the health of your children, your own like you can be grateful for those things that are on the positive for sure. But if we put the hardships outside of that, like, oh, I can't be grateful for that. That literally also um, stops the receiving because it's like, oh, I'm willing to receive all of this what I perceive to be good stuff, but I'm not willing to go through anything that might be hard or challenging. Right? We're gonna put that outside. Like, no. Like, well, that's
I'm like the opposite.
I know, I know. You're definitely saying the opposite. Most people though, right? Like that's
I
what
know. But to have that reflection back of like, I'm usually like, no, God, just bring it on. Just bring it. And then the other things, I'm like, ooh, I mean, those are just things, that's okay. My health, okay, great. I'm supposed to be healthy. Like that's what goes through my mind, right? Of like, no, but Lauren, you actually do a lot of work to make sure that you're healthy. And you have for a really long time. And to be grateful for that, all the things that go into that, those are the things that I tend to skip over. I was like, oh, just life. It's fine. Cool. Where I'm like, no, I just got bitch slapped by life and like, ooh, I'm still here.
so okay, practice. Invitation.
Yeah.
Invitation for everyone, for you too,
Yes.
listener.
Any pessimistic listeners out there like me, let us have it.
Right? So the invitation then is for you, Lauren, to write down, recognize those places, recognize yourself, self recognition, right? Because you also tend to be repressive on the repressive side of collapsing in, right? Blaming yourself too before until it gets too much and then it goes out, right? But it's internalized a lot first. And so again, that those words of affirmation, those are for you first. You can give yourself those words of affirmation because that is your recognition. Hey, I do actually spend time and effort and money on making sure I'm healthy. That's amazing, right? Literally, the recognition, your second line pearl asks you to recognize and to be recognized and to accept recognition. So giving yourself, like, what am I grateful to me for? And that way, because again, we're going to use that. What's it called? The reticular activating system, the RAS,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Or
What you
sounds about right.
something like that, right? That like I decided I really like red cars, and like, oh my god, I'm seeing them everywhere. They were
Yeah.
already there. It's just, that's now you're focused on that. Right now, your reticular activating system is focused on what are the lessons from the hardship.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So, so it's asking, oh, where's the next hard lesson that I get to learn?
Yeah. 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 What's coming around the bend?
Versus like, okay, we are grateful for that. So you in particular, just like for you, let's shift that focus a little bit to where is where is the goodness right now? Where is the abundance right now? Where are clients recognizing you right now? And like tap and not brush past it. Okay.
Fine. It's cool.
Yes.
So, yes.
Where for other people it might be the opposite, right? Like finding the finding the gratitude for the lesson.
Yes. And I mean this in the most sincere way possible, that if you are struggling to understand, no, that's not fair. Understand is not the word I want. If you are struggling to find gratitude in the hardships, please email Lauren at expansiveceo.com. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, got it.
Because yeah, I mean, it can walk you through like that journey, because it's not easy, but for some reason it is innate for me. And I don't know why. And I almost don't care. I don't need to know the why. I also just have an opportunity to look at the opposite end. But, for those who may be struggling to look at the lens that I tend to look through, please, for support. And, this is where I turn to Hannah to be like, okay, Hannah, help me understand how I look at myself differently. Because that's your superpower. And what's really funny is that like health and vitality is a huge theme for me in my life, because my entire spleen is, you know, alive and kicking at all moments. So the gratitude of like, oh, I learned how to make that work for myself
Yeah.
without
Also,
really knowing that it was that important.
no, hilariously, yesterday, I've been really curious about our astrological natal charts recently.
Yes,
Just getting
I
like,
love it.
so Lauren has a stellium, which is 3 placements in the 12th house: Sun, Mercury, and Moon. Crazy, crazy work right there. And
Mhm.
then also another stellium in the 6th house. You have your Jupiter, Pluto, and Neptune, maybe? Jupiter, Pluto,
Maybe.
and something else. I can't remember. In the 6th house, though, and the 6th house is about your daily routines, is about the body, is about, um, it can be more of a challenging house in general, but it's literally about the daily routines that you need in place in order to support yourself. You have a stellium there. You have 3 placements, including your Jupiter placement, which is how you expand, your luck, your expansion, there are other lenses of Jupiter as well, but that's a big one. And it's around that, around your body and your health systems and your daily routines.
Ooh, can my one line would very much like a deeper explanation.
I will work on it. I
Okay.
have it. I have it
Okay.
somewhere else. I'll send it to you. Um,
Yes.
but just like coming back into that, where we tend to in our astrological charts, where we have more placements, it is where we have, I don't want to say work to do, but
You can say it. We have more work to do in
we have
those
work
areas.
to do, right?
Yeah.
It's not, you've mentioned this also in our human design chart of like, if you have a completely open center, um, part of mm, the innate energy of that is that like you are here to have mastery of that center. You'll have to go through like deconditioning the center because it has probably been wildly conditioned by the shoulds around you. But you are actually here to have like an insane amount of innate wisdom in those open centers. And so that kind of mirrors itself in the astrological houses. There are 12 houses, that where we have an empty house, we don't have as much work to do there in this lifetime. So the fact that you have 2 houses with stelliums in kind of these like challenging areas, for you to say like, "Hey, you know what? I've learned to love the lesson." All right. Yeah. That's literally part of your path as well.
Yeah. I tell you what, the universe, when it was making me, was like, okay, we're gonna mix it up
We're gonna
here.
make her a strong one.
She might break, We don't know. It could go either way. But yeah. I mean, it's but I tongue in cheek, I really do appreciate it. Like, and part of that is a channel of transformation, right? There is a level of correctness of hard work without killing myself.
Right. And learning the balance. And as we age and mature and bring in that wisdom of life lived, getting to take the other perspective is really important. And to, yeah, just to balance it out is what it feels.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So that's an invitation for everyone. And again, go, if you have never been on Substack, it's fun. It's
It is.
super fun. I would encourage you to go check it out and just see what you think. But if you want to follow along, that's where I'm going to be posting. I am going to do um 10 things I'm grateful for every day. And specific things, right? And you can't repeat. That's my rules for me. You can have your own rules, but I'm not going to repeat things. So after a while, you're right, like, oh nope, I'm not going to be like grateful for my husband every day. I love my husband. I am grateful for him every day. But it's got to be something specific, right? If it's going to be something about Adam, it's got to be something specific, like a thing that I really noticed, or an aspect that I'm grateful for, or if it's around my kids or around my work or around a client, something specific, something targeted. Um, and something again that's true, not just, okay, I got to write down things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the sun. I am grateful for the sun.
Yes.
Right, but why?
Yes.
Like something that is actually intentional. So I'm going to be doing that. I don't know for how long. We'll see.
Yes.
Like, but for a
Well, as
while.
you're sitting here, my open ego is like, yeah, can make a commitment of every day. Or maybe more than once. However, I feel I can commit to the prompt of the shift from the hardships to what is already abundant in my life. And that I will post.
I love it. So you can come follow us on Substack and play and share what you're grateful for along with us. If you would like, if you hear that hear that prompt and say, "Ooh, that feels interesting,"
Yes.
this is your invitation. If you're a projector, something to respond to. If you're a generator, if you're a manifester and you're like, "Don't tell me what to do," I'm not
Yep.
telling you what to do. You can do
You
whatever you
lean
want.
into that you lean into that authority to see if it's the right thing to initiate.
Yep, exactly. And if
And
you
reflectors, if you need to wait a whole moon cycle, by all means.
want to join us next month, maybe we'll be doing it. You can do it on your own.
Actually, you can do it then. If we generators have moved past, by all means, please come join the party.
Yes, come join us over there. We'd love to have you. And as always, if you have any questions, anything you want to dive into more, anything you want to hear more about, send us an email. You can email me at hannah@expansiveceo.com. You can email Lauren@expansiveceo.com. And you can DM us anywhere. Like, we'll see it. We respond. We are the ones that see and respond to things. So you're not getting a bot. You're not getting an assistant. You're not, it's us. You're actually getting so felt like that was important to share. We have gone on for longer than usual. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for being with us. Thank you so much for listening. We really do enjoy this time and getting to share and talk and just express from a place of authenticity. So we love having you along. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, friends.